Hola, hola, hola. How are you? I hope you're doing fine. Welcome to the Mindset Twist podcast. My name is Marixan Martina, and I am your international mindset mentor for personal development and business growth. And this year, I launched this podcast, the Mindset Twist podcast, because my nickname is the mindset expert. I know how to twist your mindset within seconds. Today, we have a very special podcast because this podcast is about emotional freedom. And when we are talking about emotional freedom, we are talking about one particular tool, and that is forgiveness. 5 years ago, I wrote an inspirational card, and the inspirational card says, forgive yourself, because forgiveness is one of the powerful tools after love. We tend to forgive another, but we forget to forgive ourselves. Forgive yourself for everything you have done and for everything and for anything you said you will do and you didn't. For your faults, and especially not for loving yourself enough. And those inspirational cards were written because they were inspirations that helped me during my depression, when I was down. And I decided to use it to share it with the world so I can inspire and help another. To talk about forgiveness, I have to go back when I was a child. And everyone that knows me very well knows that I had a very um, different relationship with my dad. The relationship I had with my dad wasn't a father daughter relationship, it was more a friend relationship. So my father was my friend. So I can tell my father, I could tell my father everything, and the way I was thinking it. So without any filter. Without any filter. A couple of years ago, this relationship stranded. So I had for a couple of years, I think it was 2 years, we didn't have contact with each other. And to go back to the core of this podcast, it was during Christmas time. It was around, I think, 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, around Christmas time, that I felt that my heart was heavy. It was heavy because I wanted to forgive him. I wanted to have peace. I wanted my inner peace back. So I opened my Facebook and I wrote him a message. And after that, I had a prayer. Had conversations with God. And after that, I had a meditation. And it felt okay. Little did I know back then that every level of growth demands another level of forgiveness. And that was during my growth period. I was growing emotionally, but also spirituality. And then you reach another level, and then you have to forgive on another level. And this happened during COVID. During COVID, I was back home because I was still traveling. I was back home and I was working on my businesses. And guess what? My father was a businessman. And when he was home, he was sitting at the same I was sitting at a table, specially for him, and he had a special place where he was working on his projects. Unconsciously, 4 years ago, I sat at the same table at the same place working on my business. And it hit me. I was like, what? I'm sitting here on the same place, at the same place as my dad. My dad is still alive, but he's living in the Netherlands right now, having another family. He decided to move on. My parents are divorced, by the way. So I sat at the same table, the same place, doing the same thing. And then the reality hit me because I thought I forgive him, but a lot of things came up at that moment. The next day, I was um, looking in a photo album with my niece, and I came across a photo with my dad, and my dad was watching me at some point that was very nice, but it was the same way he was looking at me the night before I sat at the table. A very strange feeling I had at that moment. But I also knew at that moment that I didn't forgive him completely. Then another level started. Back in the Netherlands, I decided to write him a letter. But this time, I didn't write him a letter to send to him. I wrote a blog. And in this blog, I was talking to him, asking him, what if everything was like before? And at the end of the blog, I said to him, I know I was selfish because I wanted you to be the father I saw my friends with. I want you to be the father like I had before, the relationship we had before. But I accept it. I accept that um, you moved on, that you moved on, and that the lessons that I had to learn from you were given. And it's okay. Little did I know that I cracked another level of forgiveness at the time. I sent him this blog, nervous because I didn't know if I could handle his reaction at the time, but he reacted very peacefully and very emotionally. Other than that, he didn't said anything. And for me, it was okay. And for me, that was the feeling, that was the moment that I acknowledged that I passed some level and I had emotional freedom at that point. Now I'm taking you to last Christmas. I had a disagreement with a family member back in July last year, and it hurt me a lot. And I was asking myself, why did it hurt me that much? Last year, Christmas, 2 days before Christmas, on the 23rd of December, I was in Barcelona, and I had a strong feeling that I need to forgive this person, but most of all, I needed to forgive myself so I can experience peace. And I started to have conversations with God again, to ask Him to give me the courage to do this. And I started the same process of forgiveness. I forgive myself first, and after that, I wrote a message to the other person asking for forgiveness. And after that, I felt some peace. Little did I know that the peace I felt at that moment was another level cracking open for healing this year. It was a huge work. It was deep and it was painful. And sometimes I did things that I didn't even know that I needed to do them. The only thing I did was listening to the voice of God. It was a beautiful moment, but again, little did I know that 1 week before the retreat, 1 week before the Eat, Pray, and Love experience in Madrid, some strange activities sent me to the place where my dad lives. I had to do a visit. I had to visit a student because I'm also a teacher, a Spanish and an event teacher, and one of my tasks is I have to go and look for my students when they are doing their practical. And this was very strange because normally I always look for the address, and I always look up 2 days before how I can get there, and this time I didn't. It was that morning that I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I need to see where I need to head to." And I saw that place, the place that I know that my father lives, where my father lives. And I was like, "Oops, God, I know it was you because if I look this up beforehand, I will cancel." Little did I know again. Then, just one stop away, the student called me and canceled our appointment. And there I was, in the city where my father lives. But my heart was at peace. And I had conversations with myself. And the conversations were about, if you see him right now, how will you react? If you see him right now, what kind of conversation you will have? If you see him right now, Would you make the same jokes you did like back then? And the last one was, if you see him right now, would you ask him to bring you back at work? The conversations were so peaceful, so nice, and at that moment, I know that I reached a very new level of forgiveness. It was fine, it was nice, it was peaceful, but most of all, I got some emotional freedom. Hey, join me on the 12th of December. I will launch our first course about forgiveness, but the course is known as 8 Day of Emotional Freedom. I will walk with you. I will give you the tools so you can break through some emotional chains, so you can get this level of freedom, healing, and love. From my heart to yours. Thank you for listening.